What does the astrology have to say about the coronavirus? As an astrologer, I've been getting asked more and more this question. Many people are asking me for my professional opinion on this, so I thought I'd make a video about it. Now, of course, none of us want to be fear-based here, but we do want to be responsible, and astrology is a tool that helps us understand the cycles we're in better. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to share with you a little bit of my perspective, and then I'm going to pull up the chart for now, for this month, so we can kind of see what I'm referring to and what exactly the astrology is pointing to. So I'm Raquel Spring. For those of you that don't know me, I am a fourth generation passionate astrologer. I love to share what is happening today in the skies, but also to show you where it's happening and how it works. So today, I never thought I was going to be making a video about this, but I'm going to make a video today about the coronavirus and the astrology on it. So we know that this year is a big year. Those of you that have been following my work or just following astrology in general, all astrologers are talking about this year as being a big year of transition. I've been talking extensively about this transition slowly but surely over the course of the last few months since the eclipse happened in December, and explaining more and more about what this is going to entail. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, the astrology for this year is very intense. Now, it doesn't mean that it's a bad thing or that it's something to be worried about, because whenever we are in transition, it is normal for some things to go, right, in preparation for a new cycle. Now, in addition to that, we're having huge timeline shifts. People are making their choices. The contrast is being greater than ever. And this is all kind of contributing to, let's say, a relocation of perceptions. Okay? So, putting this on a very real and practical level here, as an example for you to understand, relationships. You know, we're starting to realize that we've outgrown the old version of ourselves, okay, for the most part, and we are ready for more. We are realizing new parts of ourselves that is ready to be experienced. So in light of that, our perceptions change, our actions change, our desires change, our personality changes. So long story short is that we are being rearranged right now with the people, places, and things that best suit our next best version of self. That's long story short. Now collectively, we see that play out as well, and we are preparing for quite a powerful end of 2020. I know we're not there yet, but this is where kind of everything is leading up to. So when we talked about way back then in December, when we talked about the eclipses and the astrology of 2020 and all those good old things, I remember saying very clearly, like the January 12th, massive conjunction, 11, 12, 13th, that was just the beginning. Like, I wasn't expecting anything massive to happen then. That was just like the bam, the heralding, the announcing of a big year. Now, this whole Capricorn and Pluto and Saturn theme that we're working with right now, we're going to continue working with that for the rest of the year. Now, in slightly different variations, of course, we have many other planetary activities contributing to each specific cycle, but this is very much in focus. The Capricorn energy is very much in focus. It has been building up since 2019, all throughout 2019, and now it's finally reached a culmination point. So it's important for you to understand what we're looking at here in terms of cycles, so that we can create a context and a foundation for the virus or anything else that may emerge in this year that we may talk about. So, another thing I want to keep in mind is that This passageway that I'm talking about now of the March equinox and then leading on to this next cycle, I've been talking about March as being the bridge, the bridge, the bridge from one cycle into a new one, okay? And we're having this passageway now. And this is almost like, to me, it feels like the trigger point, like, all right, game on. So even like all these things that are kind of culminating to this point and that I'm talking about and that I will continue to talk about in the following months, it's all really just beginning now. And this is really just that boom, that okay, let's go kind of thing. So there's still much to happen, much to unfold, much to develop. And when I'm done explaining about the astrology and the coronavirus, then we're going to kind of conclude with where this is all going and what's happening here so we can have a little perspective. But just to kind of wrap up the context here, we are in a big year. This is a transition year. There is no escaping it, okay? This is the transition that we've been waiting for and calling for. So this is absolutely perfect. And, you know, astrology is never going to show like a black and white, bam, this is it. In very rare occasions, and depending on cycles and what you're dealing with, okay, you'll see that. But above and foremost, astrology deals with contexts of situations. The context. So, for example, right now, we are having the context very active of a Chiron and Black Moon Lilith conjunct. Now, this has been going on for some time now. This has been going on since about the Aquarius new moon, a little bit after that, bam, all the way until April, May. This conjunction is going to be active. Now, at different times of this conjunction, we'll have different planetary alignments, full moons, new moons, trigger it in different way. This combination is also interacting with your chart in a very unique way. So some people are feeling it more than others. Some aren't feeling it at all. But most people, to some extent, are feeling it. And the Black Moon Lilith and Chiron conjunction is a very heavy conjunction happening right now, especially considering the Capricorn energy that we're in. Right? All the crumbling of the system, the crumbling of the old structures of our life that has literally reached a point of no return. This is like, okay, this is it. All right, time is up. Like, you had your chance to get ready for this. You know, we're literally in transition phase right now. So the old, you know, served its purpose, and now we're going to be experiencing something new. And I'm really excited to talk about all the new things that are coming up. You know, we're really going to start to see it manifest even more next year. So, and this is going to have a lot to do with the Aquarian energy as well, the Aquarius energy. And not meaning to get too ahead of myself here, but just to shed a little glimpse of joy here, and hope as well, we're having a massive, beautiful, and gorgeous conjunction between Saturn and Jupiter at the end of the year in Aquarius. Now, this conjunction, if you want to understand more about it, I will make a whole video about it. Obviously, you're going to hear a lot of astrologers talk about it more and more as the months go on. But I'm going to talk more about it myself as well and explain in detail what that means for you as well. Because if it's interacting with your chart, this is life-changing for you. Anyway, this combination is preparing this year to take place at the end of the year. And this is the beginning of another new cycle. And it's going to be a really exciting, brand new, huge cycle that has to do with the social arena of our lives, and economic as well. So there's going to be a lot happening by the end of this year that is all going to, like, all the things this year is going to lead into a massive transition point, bam, that is going to be kickstarted December 21st with this massive historical conjunction between Saturn and Jupiter. Now, mind you that this conjunction in Aquarius also signifies, in the midst of it all, signifies the opening of a brand new, humongous cycle of the air energy. Now, I talked a little bit about this, the Aquarius energy being in focus, Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius, and what that means in my eclipse video. So I don't remember if it was either my Cancer eclipse or the Capricorn eclipse, both from December. And I talk about this massive conjunction. I talked about it on it was the Capricorn eclipse. So this is a massive conjunction that's going to happen, and it's going to be a game changer. Because of the additional 2,000 plus year cycle that it's bringing to the table, which I address there, there is the sense that a lot of astrologers are getting of the ushering in of the Aquarian age. Because in addition to everything that it implies, it brings a lot of the Aquarian energy into the picture. And this is a big cycle of 2,000 plus years. So this is to shed some perspective here so you can understand the scope of what we're dealing with. But until we reach that point, there are some things that are going to happen to bring new levels of awareness to where we're at today. So yeah, a lot of this has to do with historical, global, collective things that are happening. And the reason why I'm going above and beyond here with this introduction is because I don't know if this is going to be speaking of the coronavirus, of something else that may come up, of coronavirus and other things. We can't know for certain, but we do know the context. And the context, like I was saying with Chiron and Black Moon Lilith right now, very active this whole time, okay, all of March, definitely April as well, and some of May, part of February as well. So this has been bringing a lot of like really deep primal wounds to the fore. And I've been talking so extensively about this, I think like literally every single one of my videos after the Aquarius new moon video has been talking about this conjunction. So just watch any of them and you'll get informed. But this has been bringing a lot of heavy stuff into the picture. Now, collectively, I have to tell you that, you know, this can unfold in many different ways, and it does bring a sort of like a morbid and dark energy at times into the picture. Now, this is not to be fear-based here, but this is to be responsible. We are reading what astrology is showing us. And while we have this really profound and rather morbid conjunction between Black Moon Lilith and Chiron, and mind you, Black Moon Lilith, at its worst, I've seen Black Moon Lilith prominent so many times in death as well. So it doesn't mean that it is death per se, but it could bring that vibe, that energy, you know, that morbid, like very kind of dark feeling, and especially with Chiron in the picture. Doesn't mean that everybody's going to experience it in a dark way, but the chances are for there to be some heaviness in there until we realize really the other side, which I'm going to talk about in the end. Very, very important. So stay here until the end. So this Black Moon Lilith conjunction has been happening, has been active, but at the same time, we know that it's aligned with the collective direction. In the last video that we had on the Virgo super full moon and the astrology for the month of March, we talked about how all this energy from Black Moon Lilith and Chiron coming into the picture is very much pushing many of us to take quantum leaps in our life. And I talked about their interaction with the north and the south node of the moon. So let's take a little look here at the charts. Okay, so this is here the chart. We just finished having this massive, beautiful, gorgeous Virgo super full moon. My God, you guys are sending me pictures, and I'm just blown away with the images that you've been able to capture of this last Virgo super moon that we had. Thank you for sharing that with me. I'm posting them like crazy in the Facebook group, in our classroom, and sharing them. I'm just absolutely loving it. So we're just coming out from this Virgo super full moon, and things are about to pick up big time. And this is not to talk about the astrology per se for the rest of the month of March, but I do want to point out a couple things here to you. On this Virgo full moon, we did talk about Chiron and Black Moon Lilith being in an exact T square with the lunar nodes. See this over here? This is very significant. If you want to know more in depth about what that means, go back to the last Virgo super full moon video, watch that video because I explain exactly what that means. And I also bring the light at the end of the tunnel because we are simultaneously having a sextile between Venus and Uranus with the North Node and a trine as well, which is very supportive. So whatever change is coming up right now and will continue to come up, it's all aligned with the soul purpose, okay? But this T square here with Chiron, Black Moon Lilith, and the lunar nodes is very much pointing to that. It's like all this pain, this darkness, this heaviness, like whatever it is that we're dealing with on an individual level has reached the threshold. Whenever you see anything happening in a T square, and especially with the lunar nodes, this is a crossroads with fate, with destiny. Okay, what we call fate or destiny. Basically, time lapses happen here when we're dealing with the lunar nodes, and this is about past meets future, and the present moment is at the apex, at that tip of the T square, which in this case would be Chiron and Black Moon Lilith. So all this pain and suffering, and even the consequential activities that will come from this is all aligned on a very, 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 very close orb, T square, with the lunar nodes. So this is like God, higher self, creator, universe, whatever label you want to use, saying, all right, this is the turning point. This is where we flip the pages. And so this is why a lot of people are being pressed to make decisions and just like a lot of moving on and healing coming up happening. But this is in preparation for the transition of the new cycle we talked about. So this combination here, Black Moon Lilith and Chiron, is really what I'm looking at here when it comes to the coronavirus. Now, there are many ways you can look at it. Okay, there are many different astrologers working with asteroids, working with midpoints. Let me tell you that astrology is such an intricate system that there are like many, many different ways that you can look for the same topic or look for the course or the evolution of a certain theme happening. Many ways, okay? So I'm looking at this conjunction of Black Moon Lilith and Chiron just because it's been really speaking to me and I've been following it for a while, and I know very well how this conjunction can play out as well. So based on this, I'm going to tell you right here and right now that we've reached a point of no return. We really have. And the truth is that from this point forward, and especially after the equinox on, it's going to be showtime for a lot of things. The sun is going to be entering Aries very soon. On March 19th, the sun enters Aries. And when the sun enters Aries, guess who is right there in Aries? Chiron and Black Moon Lilith. So we've been having, Venus just entered right after the Aquarius new moon, which is like, that's why a lot of stuff started happening around there, and conjuncted this Chiron and Black Moon Lilith. And so every planet that conjuncts it kind of like sheds its light on this tight conjunction in a slightly different way. So first it was Venus, relationship themes, women, okay, sisters, daughters, lovers, women in your life. There have been a lot of Black Moon Lilith themes come up. Okay, in many different ways, but it's been there. And now the sun is going to be next. So the sun is going to enter Aries on March 19th. That is when the sun is going to enter Aries. So the sun enters Aries. It's going to be really late at night, but it enters Aries. So we begin March 20th, the day of March 20th, with the sun in Aries. And first of all, we know that 0 degrees Aries is considered a world axis, okay? There is this point of fame that astrologers call it with the 0 degrees Aries, because things, depending on the storyline, depending on the configurations here, things that reach 0 Aries, they have the potential to reach public awareness to different extents and different degrees. But if we're referring here to something like this virus, this is a potential to open up and have some sort of news around this, or some sort of like something start to emerge. This 0 degrees Aries is very sensitive. Now, we also know that Aries is a very outspoken energy. It is very masculine. It is very giving. It is very even aggressive in nature. And as soon as the sun enters Aries, it's going to start activating even more the energy of the ruler, Mars, who is going to be right here on this conjunction with Jupiter, preparing to conjunct Pluto. So we know that this time here is going to be really hot, really sensitive, really, really strong, really strong. And I'm going to talk more about this as next week, we're going to talk about more of the Saturn in Aquarius and just a lot more going on. But the sun entering here and this period of this week or so with the sun here conjuncting Black Moon, Lilith, and Chiron is going to be the potential for there to be some sort of a highlight or awareness on a public stage for something. Now, it doesn't mean that every time the sun enters 0 Aries, or anything for that matters, enters 0 Aries, that's it. You're going to hear about something. It doesn't mean that. What I'm doing here is I'm giving you the context of what the astrology is showing, so that at the end of the day, you can be the judge of this, and you can just use your intuition and feel in your heart what it's showing you. So again, I'm just the messenger, completely neutral. I am just reading the system and showing you how it works. So we have that whole first week there, from after the equinox on, leading up to April, of this really intense solar activity, bringing highlight to this already existing Chiron and Black Moon Lilith conjunction. So Chiron and Black Moon Lilith very well, to me, could represent this virus, or just anything else that is related to something dark, something morbid, death, something very excruciating that wants to be liberated at the end of the day. Now, back to our chart. Check this out. In addition to that, on March 21st, guess what happens? Oops. Saturn enters Aquarius. Okay. Again, I'm not going to get the exact time here, but I'm on March 22, but this happens on March 21st. Saturn enters 0 degrees Aquarius. Now, that will be huge in and of itself. Huge, 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 huge. But I will tell you that Saturn in Aquarius is going to be initiating full-time this transition phase, because the transition phase is ultimately leading to the Aquarius energy. So Saturn dipping in there, and I say dipping because very shortly he's going to go retrograde and going to go back into Capricorn. But him dipping in Aquarius is opening up the themes for this new cycle. So this transition phase is about to accelerate big time, and I'm going to talk about this on my next video. But I do want to say that as soon as Saturn enters Aquarius, 2 things may happen. If this is a context, if this is a potential, if this is a possibility, we may see a speeding up of this scenario happen here. Not only will the sun be exactly like coming closer and closer to this Chiron and Black Moon Lilith conjunction, but also Saturn in Aquarius is going to be answering to who? To Uranus. He's going to be activating Uranus in a new way. Now, again, more on that later, but there is a connection there. There is a connection there with some sort of new events, news, okay, an unexpected news, unexpected event that's going to really begin to, the potential is going to be much greater around this time. And then the second part is that let's remember that Saturn also deals with fear. So Saturn deals with many things, and doesn't mean that, there's many ways to interpret this, okay? Let's keep in mind that, like astrology, if I say like a Saturn in Aquarius, for example, I'm not just talking about one definition for Saturn in Aquarius. Think of a Saturn in Aquarius as like a glyph or a symbol that represents many different phrases and words, and it just depends on how it's paired up. So it's kind of like hieroglyphics and those, those ancient writings, and how they could write whole text with just like pictures, because it was all like depending on the combination of them, you interpret their meaning, right? That's the way that they use language. So astrology is very similar. And in this context over here of the virus, because this is also going to be really positive for a lot of people, depending on other factors, depending on how we're looking at it. But looking at it from the perspective of the virus, this could be a time where we begin to have some new information coming out that may bring an element of fear to a lot of people. Now, we choose if we want to feel fear or not. So I'm here telling you, like, a lot of people are going to feel fear. It doesn't mean that you are. It doesn't mean that I am. But the potential there is going to be definitely open for people who are not in their hearts. So this could accelerate the whole fear thing. Let's keep in mind that as this all happens as well, Mercury is also in Pisces. And where Mercury is in Pisces, news, messages can be a little uncertain here. So in regard to the virus, there could be like either a hush-hush thing, or people don't really know, or unsure, something is unclear, especially because all the while Mars is going to be picking up speed over here, activating these two power bombs here. And a few days later, on March 30th, Mars enters Aquarius and activates that Saturn even more. So we're looking here for like at the end of the month for there to be an escalation of, if this is it or something else coming up, there may be an escalation once Saturn reaches 0 degrees Aquarius. Now, at the same time, look at this tight conjunction here between Mercury and Neptune. And that whole week, look at this, the whole first week of April, Mercury is going to be conjunct with Neptune. So Mercury and Neptune in Pisces is only enhancing the misinformation, miscommunication, fear, despair, and of course Mars in, finally activating Saturn. This is going to imply a lot of things here. It's going to be activating Uranus as well. So there may be a speeding up of things from the March 31st into the first week of April, if we are looking at this here. Whatever it is that we're going to be looking at, there will be a speeding up of this, and it may bring uncertainty and fear to some people. Now, let's go back here. Where does that leave us today? Where does that leave us today? Because even what I just showed you over here, this is all very much in relationship to the focus in Black Moon Lilith and Chiron, okay? And the timing of everything, and the sun entering Aries and all of that. This is, again, also just the beginning of much more. Let's remember that the month after, Venus is going to station retrograde, and then we have the eclipses happening, more eclipses happening. And then by fall, things are really going to be reaching like a really powerful culmination with all this buildup energy here. So this is really just the beginning, the tip of the iceberg. And I do want to shed some light here on this and explain to you that not everybody is going to feel this in big ways, in significant ways, and even the aspect of fear that I talked about. And not everybody is going to, it just really depends on how your chart is configured. It depends how this configuration is interacting with your chart. But I will tell you that globally, this is kind of like we've reached like a threshold. We've reached a crossroads where this is showtime for a lot of things globally. On an individual level, this is very positive because this is pushing us outside of our comfort zone to step into new levels of power within ourselves, new versions of ourselves that we've been recreating. And ultimately, this Black Moon Lilith conjunction with Chiron is pushing to the fore, first of all the dirty stuff, all the hate, the anguish, the pain, the morbid stuff that we have in here. But after all that is gone and clear and we see it for what it is, then we're able to actually access the true origin of the Black Moon Lilith, which at its essence, it's a primal cry. It's a primal urge, a very primal voice that is ready to defy anything and everything on its path. Once it's anchored in its truth, this is the liberated voice of expression coming out here. So this is the good news, because even though we are having this individually come up, also collectively, this is going to play out on a global scale too, whether we are looking at the coronavirus or other, things that are going to be coming up. Again, let's remember that we're also in, election year and all this. There's a lot of politics, there's a lot of stuff involved in this. And let's remember that like fear tactics are used very frequently too, whenever they want to distract the population from other big things that are happening. So I personally see this as distractions. Whether this is accurate or not, the amount of deaths and all of that, that's another subject. The fact that it's being used right now to bring fear to people, yes, it's true. Yes. And it may escalate. Yes. If it's not this, it may be something else. Because we are in a big year. We are in a big transition year. So, regardless of how you feel this individually, collectively, however you see it on a global stage or on an individual level, know that at the end of the day, this energy of Black Moon Lilith and Chiron conjunction is really squeezing to the fore all the pus, all the dirtiness that has been buried, all the imbalance, the distortion, the war, the hate, the lying, okay, that has been building up. And we all know to some extent what I'm talking about here. So this is the year where people are going to just start getting smart in new ways. And as a consequence, this is the good news here. As a consequence, there will be a massive new level of waking up on this planet. Disclosure is going to start to come out more and more in new ways. We are coming out of a Virgo super full moon, not just a full moon, but a super full moon that is highlighting this Chiron and Black Moon Lilith conjunction in a T-square with the lunar nodes. This is that portal of past, present meets now. So all this pain, all this like stuff, all this, all the things that have been buried, kept secret, they're going to start coming out now in new ways. Whether we're looking here at an individual person or a few people together doing this, or a whole company that works with, let's say, a television, media production, or Hollywood through movies. It doesn't matter. We're going to start seeing it on many different scales. Church, religion, on every level from this point forward, we're going to see disclosure start to come out on every level. People are going to start coming out. Leaders are going to start coming out. New leaders. People that are going to be expressing new truths or new perspectives that we are ready to look at. So there is going to be a lot of people bringing a lot of news forward. News that may be uncomfortable. News that may be things that we don't want to hear. That have to do with how, unbalanced our situation really has been. In regard to our educational system, to our water supplies, to just so much. We're going to be seeing a lot of that. And this Black Moon Lilith and Chiron right now is just that catalyst point to get that started. So whether we're looking at the coronavirus, whether we're looking at something else, again, astrology is not going to say it's this or it's that, but it shows the context. It shows the context of transition. It shows that we have been slowly culminating to this point, and that from this point forward, it's massive contrast happening here. There is going to be a lot of activity coming to the fore of news and things that a lot of us are just probably going to be very uncomfortable to hear, but it's going to be the catalyst for a lot of people to start raising their voices. At the end of the day, that's the true function of Black Moon Lilith. It's that very primal energy within us that just knows. And it's that instinctual, when you just have this gut feeling. And it's like your intuition, but on a body level. It's on a very primal level. You just know things. And that's the Black Moon Lilith. Okay? It is related to the moon. We are dealing with the feminine principle, with intuition. As a matter of fact, I have a whole video on Black Moon Lilith where I teach about Black Moon Lilith. It's called Black Moon Lilith, Shadow or Soul. But the Black Moon Lilith is an energy that brings rage. It can bring darkness because, the polarities of Black Moon Lilith are very extreme. She's very much like Pluto. So it's either bam or bam. So right now we are in just one end of that polarity, bringing a lot of grief and anger and things that disturb us emotionally, because this is eventually going to propel this ferocious outcry from the world, from Hollywood, from companies, from music producers, from book editors, from storytellers, new leaders, coaches. Everyone is going to be using this Black Moon Lilith language in a different way. We may hear some shocking news. There may be some shocking news. I will tell you what, from March 20th and especially March 30th, April 1st on, get ready. We may hear, and whether it's this virus or something else, we may hear some uncomfortable news. But we also have support. We also have support. We have support during this transition phase. And this is why the astrology is so power-packed with incredible amounts of energy and power and spiritual support for us as well. I don't know how many of you saw this, but I caught on camera an orb so beautiful in the sky the other day, and it happened live when I went live on my classroom. Actually, it was on Instagram. It was on Instagram and it ended up being a story. So I went live on Instagram to film the planet Venus. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to go outside and film a video for my crowd live. So I got my app, located Venus in the heavens. Oh, there she is. Okay, that's her all right. She's definitely the brightest of everything here. Located her, started to film, talk about her. And then all of a sudden, bam, Venus turns into an orb for me. She started to dance, started to become alive. Like, we didn't even know what that was. We were all like, what is that? Oh my God, oh my God. And I was talking to my crowd and I was like, I don't know, guys, you're seeing this too. Like, you're seeing what I'm seeing here. After that, turned off the video, went inside, and I said, you know what? I wonder if I can go back outside and get one little last shot of it. So searched for it in my app again, went outside, started filming. Nothing for the first, few seconds. And then again, all of a sudden, bam. So alive, so beautiful, so vibrant. And it just blew me away. Like, oh my God, this was so special to me, so special. And it was even incredible, like, how conscious these beings are. Like, I even said, there was a part in the video that I said, okay, now I'm going to zoom. Because I said, I'm not even touching the screen. Like, this is happening. I'm not even touching the screen. It was with my iPhone. It wasn't even like with a telescope or fancy camera. It was my iPhone. I got Venus, zoomed in. I said, I'm going to zoom in now. Zoomed in. As soon as I zoomed in, whoop, the orb diminished. On purpose. On purpose. Like, smaller than it ever was. Like, just showing its intelligence. Yeah, right. Go ahead, zoom in. I'll zoom out on my end. That's amazing, guys. So these type of things are just going to start becoming more and more normal. The veils are going to be thinning more and more. We are going to be expanding our perception, and it's all going to work together. It's all coming together simultaneously. It's like one thing needs to happen in order for these dominoes to just one by one pop, 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 so we can go through this transition. So that is my take on the astrology and the coronavirus. And however it is that you feel about it, whether you feel that it's exaggerated or you think that it's true, or whether, first of all, I do want to tell you that, we do have a energetic immune system as well. And just as when we have a healthy physical immune system, when we have a healthy spiritual immune system, we're literally immune to those type of things. So this is how we can be in the eye of the storm, in the hurricane, but not, in this world, but not of it. So this is where we can just watch things happen, we can stand back, and we can observe and just wait. Read in between the lines, because this is also saying other things. Black Moon, Lilith, and Chiron have many, many different languages. I'm just talking about one of them here. So, read in between the lines, stay calm, because this is transition phase, and when we can keep going one step at a time here, we will see that this is really just pushing us on an individual and collective level to liberate our voices, liberate our expressions in new ways. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being with me and following my work. I really appreciate your support. For those of you who are asking how to book a reading with me, my readings are on hold right now, my dear ones. Please sign up for my newsletters, because I will be announcing, I think in about a month from now, I will reopen again. So all the information is on the description of this video, newsletter, my astrology mentorship program, everything you want to know about the free astrology group on Facebook, it's all there. So thank you for watching, thank you for sharing this message, and I wish you all a powerful, powerful March equinox.